y'all, welcome to Fink Family Farmstead. Today I want to show you how to make a very simple 3 oil ingredient goat milk soap. Anybody can do this at home. I'm going to use goat milk from our farm here at Fink Family Farmstead, but you could always use purchased goat milk soap if you wanted to, or just even distilled water in replace of the milk. Now, as far as measurements, I'm not sure about that. So you could maybe go to Soap Calc to get those exact measurements. So to get started today, the first thing we're going to use for one of our oils is lard. And we're just going to measure out 8 ounces of this today. So just measure out, and none of these oils are harmful for your skin. So I will just use my finger. But we're going to measure out 8 ounces. And this is a cold process soap. Which I know sounds kind of silly because we are going to be heating up the oils, but it is still a cold process. So we'll get it right at 8 ounces. Ooh, that was a little much. I'm going to get it really as close to 8 as you can. Almost there, 8.33. Ooh, 8, right on the dot. Okay, so I'm going to stick this in the microwave over here for a few seconds just to melt the oils. And then once that comes out, I will add it to my larger bowl. And the next oil that we're going to measure out is our olive oil. And I'm going to do 4 ounces of olive oil. I think I'm going to make this one. This is just fragrance oil. This is not essential oil today. I think I'm just going to use apple cinnamon and regular cinnamon and just try to get a good apple cinnamon scent going on in there. And then I've got my mica powders I think I'm going to use. I think I'm going to try to do a red, rose red and a red copper, and just try to get them colored and maybe make a swirly pretty. You know, it's just a small easy batch that anybody can do at home. My lard is melting up nicely. I'm gonna stir it. Pretty good. I'm gonna give it about 20 more seconds. I put that in the microwave for about a minute. And then I'm going to add about 20 seconds to it just to get it good and melted. If it doesn't melt all the way, that's okay, because as you add the other oils, it will end up melting. Okay, so I've got my lard here, and as you can tell, it is good and melted. So I'm just going to add it into my larger bowl. Again, that was the 8 ounces of lard. All right, and I'm just going to use this again. You want to make sure that you do zero out your scale. All right, and then I've got my extra virgin olive oil. I guess it doesn't really have to be extra virgin. You could use regular olive oil, or grapeseed oil is fine too. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to do 4 ounces of this. Now, because this is a liquid already, I won't have to melt it very long, well, it's already melted, but I just want to warm it up enough so it doesn't just go into my lard and cool it down too much. So I think I'm just going to do like 20 seconds on here. Okay. And then my next is going to be our coconut oil. And I'll do 4 ounces of this as well. I've got my molds over here. I've got my larger mold, and then I've got just my little soap, 6 soap molds. I'm not sure how much this is going to make, so we'll just play around and see which mold we want to put it in to. All right, so I'm going to add my 4 ounces of my olive oil to my melted lard. Da, 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 da. Easy enough. And then I'm going to put my cup here. I'm going to zero it out again. Sorry, it's kind of loud. And then I'm going to do 4 more ounces of coconut oil. And you might notice that it starts to melt inside the measuring cup since it's so warm, but that's okay. We're melting it anyway. This stuff can be so hard to get out. Almost there, 3.5. We want to get to 4 ounces. Almost. Oh, let's get this little dropped on the table. Almost there, a couple more. 3.94. 3.98. Gotta be pretty precise. I mean, if you're off a tiny bit. 4. That was good. All right. So done with the coconut oil. Now I'm just gonna put that in the microwave for, I don't know, I'll start with 40 seconds, see how it goes. Clean off my scale here. Oh, I just realized it's got plastic on it. Oh, now it's clean again. Coconut oil is melting nicely. We want our oils to be about, I don't know, between 90 and 120 is what they say, but I find about 90 is good. So I'm gonna take this out because it's already at 100 and I don't want it to get too much hotter. So I've got my 4 ounces of coconut oil. I will pour that in there. And notice that I'm using glass. You can use glass, you can use stainless steel, but do not use plastic. Mostly because it kind of can hold bacteria and it can melt. It's just better to use glass or stainless steel. So once again, 8 ounces of lard, 4 ounces of olive oil or grapeseed oil, and 4 ounces of coconut oil. So they will sit in here, kind of cool just a little bit while we're working on our goat's milk and lye solution. All right, so I'm just gonna set this bad boy to the side. And I'm gonna grab a bigger measuring cup. I think I have a metal measuring cup. So I think what I'll do is I'll just measure it into a glass bowl. It's fine as long as we're zeroed out. All right, zero it out. And then I'm going to do 6.08 ounces of my goat's milk, which I've got it over here. I still got a few in my ice cube trays. It's best to work with frozen milk where it gets kind of like, this has been in the freezer, but I set it out right before making and it just gets a little bit more slushy, just a little easier to work with. But it has to be either very cold or frozen before you add the lye to it. So we're doing 6.08. I love these little round ones. They're so nice. They just pop out nice and they're the perfect little size. Let's see if we can be like right on, that'd be awesome. All right, that's 4.43, and then I've got some more over here in my bag. See my big old bag of frozen goat milk. I love it. Straight from my backyard. From my Pearl, my mama Pearl. She's been a good little milk girl for me. 1 drop at a time here, 5.34. Ooh, 6.18. Let's see if I take out a tiny one. I make some just a little bit smaller. Well, that was stuck together, but oh my gosh, 6.08. Seriously. Woohoo! All right. So I'm going to add that. You know what? I'm actually just going to keep it in this bowl because this bowl's fine. We're just making a small batch. So I've got my milk in here. And then I've got to measure out my lye. Now, this is where I have to put on my gloves and my goggles, my safety gear. So we're just gonna do 2.25 ounces of lye. I'm actually gonna just use, it's fine to use a little plastic measuring cup for this because it's not liquid, I'm not melting it. I'm just putting the lye in here for the time being. So it's okay. All right, so zero that out. So I'm gonna put on my safety stuff. Now, usually I have like plastic rubber gloves, vinyl gloves, something like that, but I cannot find any more right now. So I've got to go purchase a big old box of them. So I'm just gonna use just good old fashioned gloves. They're a little muddy from riding this weekend. We went out riding some four-wheelers and razors and got a little muddy, but that's okay. I'm not gonna get that into the soap. And then my safety goggles, here they are. All right, so I'm gonna be protected. Sometimes it's even actually nice to wear longer sleeves, even though I've got mine rolled up a little bit, because I've actually flicked it like on my wrist a couple times and it burns. It does not feel good to get it on you. All right, so we are just gonna measure out 2.25 ounces of our sodium hydroxide, also known as lye. Again, can't make soap without it, but it's not dangerous to your skin. Ugh. Not dangerous to your skin once the soap goes through its process. So 2.25. It ends up measuring out pretty quickly. I always go over when I measure out my lye. 2.8, 2.24. Oh, man, so close. All right, just a teeny bit. Let's see how good I am. Oh, 2.24. Let's see if I can literally get it to 2.25. 2.26. Come on, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be it. Yes, 2.25 exactly. All right, sorry, I get excited. All right, so now I got my measurements. Now this is where the fun begins. All right, I've got my goat milk here that I measured out, 6.08. I've got my lye, 2.25, and this is all ounces. And then what I'm gonna do is just a teeny tiny bit at a time, a little bit of lye at a time. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna get a clean spoon, and you just mix it. You mix it a little bit at a time. If you add all of that in at once, another important tip, you always add your lye to your milk. If you do it the opposite way around, you can cause a chemical reaction. It's just dangerous. So you wanna add your lye to your milk. Nice and slowly, a little bit at a time. Otherwise, it will end up burning and it'll turn orange and it'll smell and it's just a disaster. So, a little tiny bit at a time and keep mixing. This takes a few minutes, so I'm not gonna bore you with me just sitting here stirring. So I will show you as soon as it's all done being mixed. It doesn't want to turn off with my gloves on. All right, guys, so I have my lye and you can kind of see in there, it's the lye and milk mixture. It's all liquefied. And then I've got my oils here. And then, so I've got my lye, my goat's milk, and then my 3 oils here, and we're gonna combine the 2. So once again, just like you add the lye to the milk, well then you're gonna add the lye to the oils. It just makes it safer. And that's what I was told to do, so that's what we're gonna do. And then it's super easy. We're just literally gonna pour it in here. Just be careful, you don't want to splash. That's why I've got the goggles on. I wanna splash and then I'm just gonna take it, make sure I get it all out of here. I also did the temperature. I did the temperature on both of them with my little thermometer here, right before I added them together. And they were both about 90-ish. So I just stuck in my little thermometer, my little instant thermometer. This one was about 90, the milk was about 90, so we're good. You just want them pretty close together. And then I just do a quick little mix with my spoon. And then the next step is to take your immersion blender I'm about due for a new one of these. With all my soap making, it's been you can kind of smell it burning up. And all right, so it's often good to just kind of burp it just a little tiny bit, and then you're just gonna mix it. And this is a process of mixing basically oil and water together, oil and milk in this case. So you have to mix long enough, blend long enough until these two basically combine together. And that process is called a trace. You may hear that when you're soap making. There's thin trace, thick trace. And it's really just, the trace level just is depending on how you want it. If you're going to do like layers of color, say, you want your trace to be kind of thick because you want those layers to stick on each other. If it's really thin, they may not. But there's also a thing called false trace, which is when it seems like it's, like right now, it looks like it's pretty mixed together. Well, I assure you it's not. If I tried to put these in my molds and turn them into soap, it would never turn into soap because it really isn't mixed properly. And this can take a little while, so I'm just gonna keep doing this until it turns into kind of like a soft pudding, because I'm thinking of dividing these into two different bowls and making two different colors to try to make like something pretty. So it has slowly, finally started to come to trace. It's not as thick as I want it yet, but what I want to show you guys is that I'm going to, at this point, when it gets pretty close to trace or meets trace, some essential oils and fragrance oils can accelerate the trace a little quicker. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add in my fragrance oils. Remember, this is apple cinnamon, and then I'm probably also gonna add a little bit of just cinnamon. I just wanna make it smell very good. Very good, this smells delicious. I'm just gonna put this whole jar in there because it's definitely not very much. I have found that it does take quite a bit of fragrance oil to make it smell pretty good. Let's see what the cinnamon smells like. It smells pretty good. I'm gonna add a little bit of this too. I want it to smell really good. I don't want it to be non-smelly. Yeah, let's just put that in there. There's not very much. And then I'll just continue to kind of blend it up. You always want to put your oils in before your colors. That's real good. And since that's an oil, we just want to make sure we do, don't just do a little swirl. You really want to make sure that you blend it well, because that wasn't oil I added, so we want to make sure it's mixed well. So I'm debating, do I want to make this like a green apple scent, or not scent, excuse me, color? Or just stick with a red. I haven't done anything green yet. I was thinking of doing like maybe green and red. Get a little colorful. It's fun, Just kind of be creative and do what you want with it. There's really no right or wrong with the design. It's getting there. It's really getting thick, but I want a pretty thick trace, because I'm gonna try to, swirl them together, and I think it's better if they're a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna continue to mix here, and then I'm gonna measure out half into another bowl and half into this bowl, and then we'll come back and we'll color it, and I'll show you how that's all done. So it has slowly, finally started to come to trace. It's not as thick as I want it yet, but what I want to show you guys is that I'm going to, at this point, when it gets pretty close to trace or meets trace, some essential oils and fragrance oils can accelerate the trace a little quicker. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add in my fragrance oils. Remember, this is apple cinnamon, and then I'm probably also gonna add a little bit of just cinnamon. I just wanna make it smell very good. Very good, this smells delicious. I'm just going to put this whole jar in there because it's definitely not very much. I have found that it does take quite a bit of fragrance oil to make it smell pretty good. Let's see what the cinnamon smells like. It smells pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit of this too. I want it to smell really good. I don't want it to be non-smelly. Yeah, let's just put that in there. There's not very much. And then I'll just continue to kind of blend it up. You always want to put your oils in before your colors. That's real good. And since that's an oil, we just want to make sure we do, don't just do a little swirl. You really want to make sure that you blend it well because that wasn't oil I added. So we want to make sure it's mixed well. So I'm debating, do I want to make this like a green apple scent? Or not scent, excuse me, color? Or just stick with a red. I haven't done anything green yet. I was thinking of doing like maybe green and red. Make it a little colorful. It's fun, Just kind of be creative and do what you want with it. There's really no right or wrong with the design. It's getting there. It's really getting thick, but I want a pretty thick trace, because I'm gonna try to, swirl them together, and I think it's better if they're a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna continue to mix here, and then I'm gonna measure out half into another bowl and half into this bowl, and then we'll come back and we'll color it, and I'll show you how that's all done. All right, guys, so I got it to a pretty good puddingish kind of consistency. You can kind of see it's kind of thick. And then I just measured, this is about a cup, maybe a little more. And then this is a cup here, so I just separated it. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this a green, and I think I'm gonna leave this color. And then when we mix it in our mold, we'll just try to get a little swirly. So, all right, so I'm gonna add some green in here. This is mica. So this is just kind of like a natural mineral color. I'm just gonna mix a little bit until I like the color that I get. A rubber scraper it's really, really, really awesome to use. It really helps to get all the soap out of the bowl, and it's very handy. Very handy. All right, let me mix it up here. Colors do tend to turn after they go through their process. They do turn, and you don't really know exactly what you're gonna get. I'd have to do some more research on coloring, but so far what I've made, I've been happy with my colors. It's not always the exact color I had envisioned, but it's pretty close. So I'm gonna add some more green. This kind of looks like a pea soup or baby poop. So let's just add a little more green and see if I can make it a little bit pretty. It is not the prettiest color, but you know what? That's okay. I'm gonna leave it, and we're gonna use this color. So I've got my greenish, and I've got my cream color, which this will darken up. I've made this before. If you just leave it natural and don't add any colorant to it, it just kind of becomes like a light, light brown, tan, almost like khaki color. So that's fine. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of clean up, organize here, and then we'll show you how we put it in the mold and make it look pretty. Okay, I hope I have this at a good angle so you guys can kind of see, but I'm gonna use this mold. Now this is a smaller batch. If you doubled this batch, it would fit into here perfectly. And to see that, I'm gonna put, if you just go under my details on my YouTube, on this video, I will show you the exact ingredients I used and how much, and then if you wanted to double it, just double it exactly. And then also, of course, you have to subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe, or my kids do not think I'm cool. They keep telling me that I only have so many subscribers, and if I want to be cool, I have to have like 1,000. So please subscribe. All right, so I'm just gonna layer these out. I'm gonna do a little layer of the cream, a little layer of the green, and just kind of go back and forth like that, and we'll see how it turns out. So I think I'm gonna start with the cream. And it's pretty thick, and even just sitting here, it really got thick, but that's okay. Oh, it got really thick. I like it. That's cool. That's all right. That'll be good because I can really get it layered well. So I like that actually. Because it took a while to get to trace. So that's cool. I'm actually really happy about that. So I'm just putting it in here, really no science to it. Just kind of put it in here, kind of wiggle it around. Try to cover the entire bottom as much as possible. Again, this is just gonna be, this is creativity. I've never done it this method here, so we'll just see how it turns out. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of the green, which this is nice and thick too. So I'm just gonna kind of blob it on. Blob it. Can you sort of see there? Perfect. And I'm just gonna kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm trying to really just kind of create layers actually. And then you always want to kind of pat your mold down a little, especially when it's this thick, to make sure you're getting everything in there. I'm just gonna continue to just kind of, I think I'm just, like I said, kind of blob it on here because it's so thick, which is fine. Totally fine. I'm gonna mix it up again here. This will probably set up pretty quick. I would say after a few hours of just sitting in this mold, I will be able to take it out of the mold and cut it and show you guys the final product because it came to trace so quickly. And so, or not quickly, but once it came to trace, it thickened up pretty quickly, which is cool. So, and I can smell it. I smell the apple cinnamon, which makes me happy because I like soap to smell good. Can't promise the color's gonna be beautiful. It might be, you know, like pea soup, but hey, that's okay because it's fun. And I've got a lot of green left and not a lot of cream, which is not really exactly how I planned it, but that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Go ahead and blob this on. But it's filling out my mold quite nicely, so I'm pretty excited about that. Turned out to be a little bit more soap than I anticipated it being, which you can kind of see. But if you doubled this batch, you'd have a nice where it would like go over top here, and then you could do a pretty design or pattern or whatever you wanted to do with it. But this is definitely a good beginner recipe for sure. Which I'm still a beginner, but I've made several batches now. And I'm really excited. I'm just waiting for them to all go through their chemical process so that way I can start using them and eventually selling them is my goal. So I'm excited about that. So these are just going to be little bars of soap. Make sure I get all my soap. You never want to waste any soap. Just remember, this still is not really safe for the skin, so you want to make sure you are keeping your goggles on and your gloves. And when I wash all of these, I rinse them really well with hot water. You can do vinegar too, and then I just put them right in the dishwasher. I usually just put them in the dishwasher by themselves, so that way I don't want them getting on. Oopsie. Sorry about that, guys. I don't want them getting on any of my utensils that I eat with, just because the lye is still dangerous at this point. Okay, so I'm so excited though. This is gonna be cool. All right, let's get all of this soap off. Now it's pretty thick, so I could probably do some like really cool designs on top. So I'm excited about that. But first, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try not to drop the phone like I just did. Beat this down really good. Make sure it gets in all the crevices. Sorry guys, I keep dropping you. All right, check that out right there. You can kind of see that a little bit. All right. Now that I've got it pretty well shaken down, I'm going to take something thin. Sometimes I'll just use toothpicks, which I have some toothpicks in there, but I think I'm just gonna get a little butter knife. Which I've got this knife, I kind of like this knife here. It's got it's a little sharp, thin, and I'm just gonna do a quick swirl, kind of back and forth with this. So it's really already set up really good. So I think I'm just gonna do kind of a quick back and forth, because I'm telling you, man, it has set up. And then I think I'm just gonna do a quick shoop, one down this way, one down this way, this way. And I think that's it. I think that's all I'm gonna do. I'll let you guys see the top. It's kind of pretty. And it smells awesome. So that's exciting. I'm really glad about that. Really, really glad that I got some of that cinnamon apple like I wanted. And we're just gonna call this a green cinnamon apple. Even though it looks kind of like pea soup, but hey, you know, that's okay. That's part of it. Just trying to make the top kind of pretty because, oh, it's so thick. I love it. I'm not digging down into the soap right now. I'm just decorating the top a little bit, trying to make it look just kind of pretty, because it's very much at trace. So it's really turning out nice. Yeah. All right, I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. Pat it down just a little bit more. The phone doesn't fall again. All right, so let me show you the finished product here. So here is the finished inside the mold product. Again, you can kind of see this top layer is green. Underneath, we've got some cream and green. So I took the knife, I kind of swirled deep down into it, and then I just made some pretty designs on top. And then hopefully this sets within a few hours because it's such a thick trace that I think it will set quickly. And then I can slice it and show you guys the finished product. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't be afraid to attempt making your own soap. It's fun. The first time I did it, it turned out perfect. Just be creative and follow the recipe. That's really the main thing, is just make sure you're sticking to those main, the measurements is really the main thing. So that way it turns out into actual soap. And then subscribe so my kids think I'm cool. All right, guys, thanks. Okay, so our soap has hardened. It took a little longer than I thought. It took about, I don't know, maybe 8 hours or so to really get to where I wanted to take it out of the mold. So I've got it in the mold. And then what you do is kind of loosen up the sides, which I think I already did that. You tip it upside down here. And you just kind of rub. You don't want to squeeze too hard or you'll squeeze your soap a little too much. And then you just kind of rub on the bottom, and it usually, you'll kind of see it ends up falling out. Oh yeah, you can see it. It kind of loosens up a little bit. And just wait for it to fall out. And this smells so good, by the way. Definitely smells like cinnamon apple. And we're gonna see. This is gonna be a surprise because we're gonna see what it looks like together. Oh wow, it turned into like an orangey color. That is so crazy. Look, you can see that. It's like almost like an orangish and a green. Oh, it smells so good. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's really short, you know, because like I said, we probably should double the batch next time to fit in that mold, but I like it. So I'm just gonna take my little, I've got the one with the little kind of graded design on it. I also have a flat edge one. You can use a knife, whatever. I like this because it makes it look kind of pretty. So I am just going to slice it a way that I think, a size that I just think looks pretty good. And then you want to just kind of gently break it away and kind of twist it a little bit when you take it off. Oh, and it ended up looking kind of pretty. It's like a green and kind of orange, like twirly. See, and it smells so good. All right, so I'm just gonna go down here. I'm gonna try to get them as even as I can. Oh my gosh, I'm loving it. So excited. Sorry, I sing a little bit when I'm happy. Yes, it's so cute. And top, I don't know if you can see there on the top, it looks pretty. Yeah, it turned out really cool. Very excited about this. And what an easy recipe too. Like I said, I will double the batch probably next time, just so which these are good. I mean, these are actually really good sized soaps. See how I kind of cut them kind of wide since they're a little bit shorter, but I'm so happy with that. So happy with it. Awesome. Awesome. I'll cut this one in half if I can. A little bit smaller ones, but that's all right. I always keep the smaller ones, the ones that didn't quite turn out the size I wanted. I usually end up keeping them for myself. Like this little piece, I'll probably end up keeping for myself because it turned out little. But I am super proud of it. Very, very happy. Very happy. Super cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Sorry, I'm in my night clothes now because I waited till this evening to cut it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and good luck with your soap making experience.